Okay, so let's look at some word problems. And this one says, Margot and Jonas went to the lumber yard to buy supplies to build a wheelchair ramp. They know that they will need many pieces of wood, and each piece of wood costs $3. So for this problem, we're going to look at a bunch of things. Some of them are review. And one of the first things is I need you to be really good at plotting points to create your equation. So if I look at this graph, I have different points that represent how many pieces of wood were purchased and how much they cost. And this graph does not have the line connected because in this situation you are not purchasing half a piece of wood. So you're going to buy them in whole pieces. And so you can't connect it because you don't want decimals. So I'm going to pick just 2 points because that's all you need to figure out your slope. So one of the points is a very easy one, 0, 0. And then another point, like right here, is 4, 12. You could have picked any of the points on the graph though. And I want you to just go to your calculator and we're going to do list and spreadsheet. We're going to put X at the top and we're going to put Y at the top. And we're going to type in our points. So 0, 4, and then 0, 12. Now we're going to press menu 4, 1, 3. Change X to X and Y to Y. And you can just watch at this point. But it tells us that my slope is 3 and my y-intercept is 0. So let's go back and let's look at this paper. I'm going to write that down. My M is 3 and my y-intercept is 0, which means 0, 0. So what does this mean if I were to try to write a function, f of x, for the total cost of the wood pieces if Jonas and Margot buy x pieces of wood? So my situation here is that f of x equals 3x. And how did I get that? Well, first of all, if I just used my calculator, it says m is 3. And so that means that's my slope, so 3x. And the y-intercept is 0, so I'm not adding anything. The other thing, though, is up here it says each piece costs $3. Remember, that's your multiply word. That's how you get 3x. And if you don't buy any, then it doesn't cost anything. So go through these different pieces here. Part B. What is the dependent variable? And the dependent variable is always your y value, or since we're using function notation, it's your f of x. And in this situation, if I look here, my y value, my f of x, is the total cost. So that's what these blanks are, total cost. And then the independent variable is usually your x, or always your x value. And it represents, well, here's your x, so that means it's the pieces of wood. But I like to say it's the number of pieces of wood, because we do know how much they cost, so I can't just say pieces of wood. That's not very specific. We need to be specific in our variables. So our slope, in this situation, we found the slope to be 3 by using our calculator. So we're going to put that there. And what does it represent? Well, this is kind of why we're doing this lesson. It is always the change in y per the change in x. And we said that the y was the total cost, right? So it's the total cost per change in x. X is the pieces of wood. So my fill in the blank here, it costs $3 per 1 piece of wood. And then we're going to do a little bit of review. And, sorry, not review yet. That's the domain and range. So the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? Well, that's what our lesson was for the last 2 days, the x and y-intercepts. If I look at this graph, it crosses the x-axis at 0, 0. And then it also crosses the y-axis at 0, 0. So in this situation, our x-intercept and our y-intercept are exactly the same thing, 0, 0. So what does it represent, though? Because I'm talking about pieces of wood and how much they cost. So here, if I buy 0 pieces of wood, it will cost $0. And that's what this is saying. So 0 pieces of wood cost $0. Okay, and the x-intercept is the same exact thing. 0 pieces of wood cost $0. All right, and then a reasonable domain. Domain is all of your x values. Write that down. And remember, we are not buying half pieces, so we're only buying whole pieces, and we can't buy negative. So that means it's all whole numbers greater than or equal to 0. Because I can buy 0 pieces or I can buy more. The range is your y values. Okay, and so since remember we have to match up. So if my x values start at 0 and get bigger, like this, then my range has to match up. So if I have 0 pieces, that costs $0. If I buy 1 piece, that costs $3. 2 pieces cost 6. 3 pieces cost 9, 4 pieces cost 12, and so on. And what's happening is that they're increasing starting at 0. And they're all whole numbers again, greater than or equal to 0. But they're specifically increasing in multiples of 3. Okay. Some of the other domain and ranges will look a little bit different, and they probably might make a little bit more sense. All right, so you're going to try number 2. Turn it over.